Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie Podcast. We're the movie podcast that makes every Monday a fun day as we get together and we talk movies. But of course, we have a point here at the United States of a Movie. We are the podcast that is trying to find one movie to define each state in these United States. We've already done one trip around the states. We're currently on our second, and today we stop at the state of Mississippi, the easiest state to spell of all 50. And, well, this one, honestly, this is going to be a really, really interesting episode. 3 very strong movies, though not everyone's going to technically agree about that one, but 3 really good, original, strong movies. Mississippi is bringing it to the table, but before we bring those to the table, why don't I bring the people that have invited to eat this dinner with me? First of all, Ryan Son, welcome back to the show. I made that shit up on the spot.
Yeah, no, it was great. That was great. To the viewers at home, both of you, you may notice that they're wearing black t-shirts today. Didn't get the memo because we all happened to wear white t-shirts last week. I guess they're just doing it in solidarity. I don't know.
I actually also shaved my head. This is a wig underneath my hat.
Oh, shit.
It's currently looking like Lex Luthor himself, Will Hirsch, sitting in the middle of his very own video store in Los Angeles, California. Will, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I did ask the barber for the look from the new Superman movie, and they wildly misunderstood.
Oh, shit.
I should have been clearer. But now I'm here, and you guys can just invite me in the podcast, right? You'll just invite me in, right, guys?
I don't know if that's such a good idea, man. I think maybe if you just stay just maybe outside there, as long as you don't
invite me in, guys.
No. As long as you don't kill my husband, and in a rage, I invite you in to make things go absolutely tits up at a really inopportune time. Then I'm sure it'll be fine.
He just wants Hailee Steinfeld to spit in his mouth.
Listen, that 40X viewing was an experience.
Holy shit.
Oh, quick before everybody logs off, you got to tell them what movie we're talking about, Will.
We're talking about Sinners. Sinners, a little tiny indie film that maybe some people have heard of, that is now currently setting box office records. I think it is the highest grossing original film in almost 10 years.
Yeah, it's crushing. It's absolutely crushing. Ryan Coogler's Sinners with Michael B. Jordan and Hailee Steinfeld and actually all kinds of people. And it's great. I love the description because it's a sort of a musical sort of period horror movie all kind of put together in one. It is blowing up at the box office in the best kind of way because it's all word of mouth. I saw it in IMAX. I loved it. Will, you saw it on a pretty big screen. You loved it. Ryan has seen it and he is completely nonplussed about the entire thing.
I think for me, and we can get into it. You keep saying this is like a really original movie. How? Like, what makes? I need you guys to convince me why this movie is so good because I just don't get it. Like, I didn't get the hype.
This is ridiculous. We found the one person on the planet who's.
I know. I believe me. When I walked out of the theater and I just couldn't believe. I was like, I enjoyed it, but I just don't. I think for me it was. You're like, for all you say was like all word of mouth, but this movie was like plastered everywhere. I feel like it was so heavily promoted either on Twitter, just in general. Like I couldn't escape seeing a trailer for it or a commercial.
Sure, but I've seen movies that have been highly promoted like that nowadays, and then everyone goes to see them and go, it's shit.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was honestly, I went to see this one because everyone was talking about it on our text thread. With the guys from RTM, with some of our old crew, and everyone that saw that movie was jumping in and talking about it like the way that you talk about Strange Darling and the way that you talk about
Right, I know. I'm a fucking weirdo.
I will. Okay, look, I will at this point jump in and admit that, when we say original movie, it is an original movie, but I understand Ryan's point. Now, look, if you don't know by now, I'm going to give you a pretty mild sort of spoiler. But Sinners isn't just a sort of period movie. It halfway through turns into From Dusk Till Dawn. And the way that I sort of describe this movie to people is it's Idlewild, which we've done on the podcast before, that Outcast movie, which is all sort of period and musical. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, who it's currently going up against as a champion, and From Dusk Till Dawn, all combined into one movie.
And it's got that one bit where they got to eat the garlic, like, which is from The Thing. Like,
yeah,
I can see, like, it's one thing to be inspired, like, that, which is cool. I like that. It's inspired from all of these other films, and it is really doing its own thing. But for me, I'm like, it's trying to be, for me, it's trying to be too many things. It's a gangster movie, it's a musical movie, it's a vampire movie, it's a horror movie, and I feel like it spread itself too thin, and I didn't feel like the sum was as good as the individual parts. Like, I liked a lot of things from this movie. I just didn't love this movie.
Interesting.
People are wrong sometimes, and that's fine. That's the spirit of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't. For me, watching it in theaters, and it was like, I know I've been a lot of packed theaters. Now I watched this on like a Thursday in Waco, Texas. So it wasn't exactly packed, but the reaction of people in the crowd, it was great. Like I said, I was having the same sort of reaction because it's, I mean, let's not, the score, Ludwig Göransson, he's been doing some really, really great stuff. I only recently just learned, because I see he does all of Coogler's movies because they went to college together.
Oh.
Yeah.
They went through film school together. So I'm like, these guys know each other. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I found it interesting, but I just found this such an onslaught in a good way of, the visual stuff, the sumptuous stuff, the character, like the costumes and the setting, but then combined with what he was doing with the score and the music, was a very visceral movie-going experience. I was just kind of along for the ride,
Yeah, I liked the music there, but there are certain elements for me where, because it is such a period piece set in that time, once you kind of add these more modernized elements to it, it took me out of it a little bit. Like,
I remember you saying that. I remember you saying
like the one part that everyone absolutely raved about. I was sitting in the theater. I'm like, I don't like this. Like, it just took me out of the immersion of the film. And also, I think going into it, I was maybe expecting more of a From Dusk Till Dawn type of thing, right? That shit doesn't happen until like an hour into the film. So to call this like a horror movie, I mean, there are horror elements to it, but I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's many different genres, and listen, we've talked on this podcast before. Like, I love mashing genres together to get a really unique film. Like we talked about Cabin in the Woods or Shaun of the Dead or Predator or whatever. And this was for me trying to do way too many things and make them all fit together, and it works, but it just didn't work for me.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked more people didn't actually have your reaction to that specific scene you were talking about, because I remember seeing it in the theater being like, oh, this is like a pretty big swing, like stylistically what he's going for. And I was fully ready for like come out of theater and people just not being into it. I'm actually shocked how many people were like into it as much as I was.
Yeah.
So I actually did expect a lot more people to have your reaction, because it's
jarring when you see it.
Very jarring. Yeah.
But it's such incredible like film work that you kind of like, it's an incredible scene, like how it's executed, but it just took me out of the film. Like, I get what he was trying to do with the, like, the musical thread through this is so strong. It's the core of the film, but it just, it's this like cognitive dissonance. It just kind of like pulled me out of it. And it made me self-aware that I'm like, oh, I'm watching a movie now.
So I go in, so, as anybody that knows, me and movies, I go in blind, but I had been on the text thread. I had seen Ryan sort of like going, oh, there was this one scene, everyone's raving about it, pulled me out of it. So I was kind of in the movie ready for it, and I'm like,
oh, sorry.
All right, no, not in that way. So it wasn't a spoiler. I just go, okay, all right, there's some scene that has that.
But still, even that, you're like,
no,
keying
again,
it up for
no,
it.
not keyed up at all. Because when it happened, I was so sucked in that I'm like going, ooh, Ryan, because I had the exact opposite. I had the exact opposite reaction.
Yeah, most people did. I feel like I'm such an outlier that I had to go on IMDb and sort by negative just to make sure I wasn't losing my fucking mind. Like, I feel like the discourse of this makes me feel so bad that I'm not like receiving this movie like most people are.
So let me break down. So if you haven't seen Sinners yet, don't worry. Like I said, it's not like a major spoiler or anything, but big part of the movie. So like they were saying, the movie is actually two movies. There is the period piece about these two brothers, gangsters who have returned to Mississippi, who want to open a juke joint and put together musicians to do that. That is the first hour and a half. The last hour of the movie is a full-on vampire action movie. So if you really want, it's two movies in one. But part of the thread that is taking it through is that there are these musicians. Okay, in this particular case, it's Miles Canton. This is the first time he's really been in
Incredible.
He's absolutely stealing the show. Everybody's talking about him. He plays Sammy, Preacher Boy, who is this musician. Now, this musician that every generation they talk about it through history, and it's kind of got this connection through sort of native culture and black culture and all this kind of stuff as the movie does it. But these musicians whose music transcends time and space in a way. It's the kind of thing that is inspired by the past and is inspired by the future all at the same time. And this moment happens where the juke joint is absolutely bumping. They start playing, and as the camera is moving around, it starts bringing sort of like people from, hundreds of years or many hundreds of years before, or like, and then it goes, suddenly you've got people from our time, and you've got a DJ, and you've got and it's a really sumptuous.
It's all a oneer too.
Yes,
and I was incredible film work.
More than I thought. Yeah, I saw a little clip of the behind the scenes of Cougs making this, and I was like, oh wow, like there's a lot of like music happening live, and there's lots of like the camera moving in and around, and it was just a feast. A feast for the eyes, a feast for the ears, and a feast for movie fans. So I'm like, I love that scene. Seriously.
I can appreciate it for sure, but in the context of the movie when it hit, like it just didn't.
I totally understand your point.
It just took me out of it.
Yeah, I don't think your reaction is that weird, and you definitely shouldn't feel bad that it didn't connect because, like I said, I expected more people to have your reaction. I'm shocked that that's actually not a wider sentiment. So no, I can totally understand, like from your point of view, like why it's not working. So it makes sense. I did also like it. Did anybody catch the end credits too? Who was on the drums for the score?
No.
Like it came by really fast. Lars Ulrich from Metallica did the drums.
Yes, I was just reading this.
Yeah, so strange, but yeah, obviously, Ludwig brought in so many talented musicians.
And Saul Williams is in this movie, who's an incredible poet musician himself. I didn't even catch him the first time I saw this movie. I'm like, he just plays like an off character. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, so I was just reading this. So there you go. Thank you for that little thing there, Will. Is that yes, they brought in Lars Ulrich, but they also brought in Cedric Burnside, who's a Mississippi blues legend, grandson of a blues singer and guitarist R.L. Burnside. Blues legend Bobby Rush is the harmonica player. Rhiannon Giddens, a founding member of country blues and old time music band the Caroline Chocolate Drops, is credited playing banjo. Music consultant, early Chicago blues legend Buddy Guy is a role in the movie. And so it's like they did, this like the music element of this is Göransson, he brought together the Avengers in a way, and just like we're bringing it. There's because the music, I mean, outside of that scene, throughout the movie, it's just evocative. Like for example, is it Jack O'Connell? I want to say, is that his name? He comes in as Remick. Sorry, he's the sort of like the lead Irish vampire. But then it's like the bit that everyone was cracking up in a way. People were really laughing. Is that when they're sort of like the three vampires are trying to get in, the three white vampires are trying to get into this all black juke joint, and then they just like start singing. This Irish lilting sort of stuff. And it was like jarring and pretty and strange and funny. All at the same time.
I love the two Michael B's, their different reactions. I love like Smoke wants nothing to do with it. I love that Stack is like kind of digging it. He's just like, I don't know. This is kind of windy over.
I can appreciate the fact though that like even when I'd left this movie completely forgetting that Michael B. Jordan was like playing both characters, like the camera work on that, and it's not like in you think back to like Army Hammer and The Social Network, that kind of thing. Like you forget that they aren't twins, and like there is no Michael C. Jordan. Like it's nuts.
Within minutes, because this movie opens with such a flex. All right, so something I mentioned is that yes, that Michael B. Jordan plays Smoke and Stackmore, okay, twins who have returned to Mississippi. And one of the very first shots you've got is Stack and Smoke sitting on leaning on a car. And one of the little things in the movie is that Stack rolls all of Smoke's cigarettes. Smoke can't actually roll his own cigs. So Stack's rolling a joint, rolling a cigarette, and then just casually hands it to Smoke, who takes it and starts smoking as the scene's going. And it's just a casual flex of, oh, you have no idea. Like, and it was a few minutes later, they're both in the car, the camera is moving, the car is moving, a car comes to a halt. Both twins get out of the car while the car is moving. And it goes in. And it's not done in a flashy way. It's not gone in it's more like your brain just goes, oh, wow, there's two Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. As the movie goes on, like the second time I watched it, you notice that there's fewer scenes of the two of them together. Like,
their stories separate.
But by then you completely forget that they are not Michael B. Jordan doesn't have a twin. It's done so well.
And the outfits help you, and they've got a slightly different vibe, so you're never confused as to who Smoke or Stack is.
Credit to their, the marketing of this film going into this. I had no idea that he was playing both, like they were twin brothers.
He was only looking at the poster really on the way in, and I was like, okay, wait, is there two of him? Or is that,
right.
All right. Because again, I'm with you on that one. That as far as I knew, it was like, I assumed it's Michael B. Jordan, vampire hunter. You know, and that's pretty much. I was like, oh, cool! It's going to be an all-style vampire hunting movie. Yeah.
I was saying, like, if he goes on to do like a period piece Blade movie with Michael B. Jordan, like, I'm on board.
Sign me up. Yeah. I'm sorry, Michael B. Jordan's great, and he's also just got so much presence on screen.
Yeah, he is fantastic.
Rushes.
It's funny there have been a lot of like discourse around Hollywood and like, can Hollywood make any stars anymore, like any A-list stars who can like open movies. And I think between this and Challengers from last year, it's like Zendaya and Michael B. Jordan have proven themselves like they are A-listers. They can open movies. They're classic old school movie stars.
Well, listening to my teens, listening to them talking, it's like, that Zendaya is one. I mean, I remember the first time I saw Zendaya, I think it was during the pandemic or something, but my daughter threw on something. This was very rare for her. She didn't
Euphoria?
No, right. No, it was this like Nickelodeon show where she was like some teen spy. And I just sat and watched an episode with Tia, and I was like, who is this girl? She's fantastic. She's just funny, and had so much presence and comedy and everything else. And then, like when it comes to like, Tilds and stuff like that, they're always like, oh, Zendaya or a Zendaya movie, or can we watch Dune 2? Or like, because she's in it. But I agree. I agree that Zendaya's got that kind of like that draw and a presence, but Michael B. Jordan is like, what he's been doing since Fruitvale Station, and then when he stole Black Panther, even though like he's just an incredible sympathetic sort of bad guy.
And he did all the Creed movies, which is like a biopic of the guy from The Office.
Yeah.
It was.
I would also watch that trilogy.
And I also watched I mean, even like the smaller scale stuff that he did. It was Fahrenheit 451 that was like an HBO release, I think, during the pandemic.
I think there was one, and there was the Without Remorse, which I really
enjoyed. I was pulling that up and like I remember seeing it, but I cannot remember the movie.
Which one is that one?
It was Taylor Sheridan's Without Remorse. It's the it's set in the Jack Ryan universe. It was a really good book. I enjoyed the book. They updated the whole story. It's like It's a bit too dad movie, I think.
I was gonna say
military kind of thing.
I liked it, but I like the part of the movie where he like cocks the gun. He's like, time for Black Ryan.
All right, now you got the next shirt. You got the next shirt.
Oh, that was
Which, strangely enough, is my nickname on the Reddit boards.
Well, actually, funny enough, you should bring that up. Racially confusing plot lines is the number one thing I think Googled after this movie was Hailee Steinfeld racial background? Question mark?
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
Because in the movie, Hailee Steinfeld turns up, who is someone that I had never even considered, wasn't.
And talk about how to introduce a fucking character.
Yeah, she's great. She's honestly, I think Hailee Steinfeld's got the juice as well. I've watched everything she is in. She's fantastic as well. And in this particular case, she comes up and she's like, you pick up very quickly that she's white passing. Okay, and it's like, oh, I was like, well, and I just had that moment of like, wait, what? What? I go, but no, I mean, it's a Ryan Coogler movie with Michael B. Jordan. The studios wouldn't do something stupid like, and as soon as I come out, and you're like, wait, what? Like, so her maternal grandfather is half black, half Filipino.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, so they've actually cast someone perfectly.
Yeah.
In
She's
a
got a
way.
line in the movie too to explain that.
Exactly.
She's
Yeah.
like, my mother's father was half black, I think. And
Right, but then,
something like that.
in that sort of time and in the way that America was, is even if
Right.
you are part black, you are all black, and that means that
Mhm.
they can mistreat you however they want to. And it was just, but that's was that thing as well. I was like, so one, wait, what? And then it was brilliant because it was such a great bit of casting because they were like, yeah, and it was like, oh wow, okay, cool. You got me with a double whammy on that one.
Yeah, she works so well in this, like, whereas as a Zendaya in this wouldn't fit that character type as well, right?
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you mean. I think the thing I almost feel like Zendaya would have been a distraction.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like in this case, I think Hailee Steinfeld was perfect casting.
Yeah.
She's
Yep.
got a certain innocence to her in a way, and then when the twist comes and she's, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It really is.
Mhm.
Like it's like two other characters I want to talk about as well as the Asian couple that run the two stores that run
Oh yeah.
the black store on one side of the street and then the white store on the other side, and then that whole set and vibe where they were
That was cool.
shooting because we went in from the store across onto the other. It looked just
Again,
like
great camera work. Yeah.
looked just like Killers of the Flower Moon. They did very
Yeah.
impressive similar work with their period, their cars and outfits and the town and everything else. That I was like, wow, this is like. That's why I'm talking about this week being a really strong week because we've got three really strong movies that are really ingrained into the state all at the same time. But yeah, that couple as well, and it was just I like the way they felt like an authentic couple.
Mhm.
They had that real sort of easy connection. They had that kind of easy humor as well, and
They were great. And I like too in that, that scene that we mentioned that the music won her when she walks around to grab her husband, they go to dance, you have the Asian, like the classic dancer come out. So I love that they're like bringing all of these cultures into that scene. Like that scene by itself was amazing, but I just didn't love it in this.
Oh, I get completely. Like I said, it is.
I'm done bringing it up. I'm done bringing it up.
But he's right though. I mean, honestly, if you haven't seen the movie, and you just kind of want to see if you can find it, the musical scene is again, it's like a mini music video. It's like if it had been a music video back in the day, it would have been number one on MTV back when they actually played music.
If you were like the few people under 40 who haven't seen this movie,
Right. Yeah. According to the box office, if you haven't seen this movie,
you're racist.
Yeah. You're racist, and there's not a lot of you. So,
I think it's crossed 300 mil. Is that domestic or international? But that's
international for sure. But I think it's getting close to 250 mil, like
And
domestic.
then it was a $90 million budget or something.
Yeah,
like that?
90 to 100 million dollars. Which honestly, I mean, considering the run of as much as people are saying we want like independent original movies, we have seen that in the last few years. That's what people say they want. But the audiences haven't been showing up.
We want Minecraft 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, but like I mean, like Strange Darling and The Substance, and all these movies that they made a bit of an impact, but people, nah, man,
of course,
watching that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fatigue on like very big tentpole franchise. I mean, fuck the next Jurassic Park movie is coming out. I'm like, I've never
Mission
been.
Impossible is coming out in a couple of days.
That's such a different. That to me is such a different. A beast unto its own, while it is like a franchise.
It's more like going on a ride.
Yeah, and
there's
just something like
from yes,
like you're gonna see that. Like
I'm definitely gonna see that.
But like for the like Jurassic Park, for example, I'm like
no, that's a pass for me.
Yeah, like they can't recapture that magic. They can't.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like original movies, I know a lot of original films have not been faring well, but also none of them had like a marketing push like that Sinners had. This is one where like the studio actually promoted this movie
right
in places other than like, because I live in Los Angeles, I see all the advertisements all the time. But I just got back from Arizona, no billboards, no nothing
No.
for any production.
All the billboards are out here for some unscrupulous law firm. Like
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
like
that when you are in the industry town, you have billboards. So like, yeah, whenever I'm visiting LA, it's like you're on Ventura, and it's not just billboards for movies, it's billboards for TV shows, and it's billboards for everything.
Did you know there's a new season of Wednesday coming out?
Right.
Well, inject it into your fucking eyeballs.
Yeah, well, it's 400 feet high, and it's on the side of a building when you drive into Century City or something.
Yeah. It's also marketing, like people can like point to it and show their bosses like, hey, look, see what I did?
Yeah.
But like if you're in Mississippi, it's rare you get this kind of like advertising push for anything, but they actually did it for Sinners this time. And look at the results it had you know, and that's not to take any credit away from Coogler, because like he casted it with like the right people. Obviously a lot of work went into it. It's still a studio.
It's a great movie that was marketed very well. Like I said, I couldn't escape, like, you know, from Ollie's perspective, where you usually go in completely blind. It's really difficult to avoid stuff like that now. We're so like chronically online. You're gonna see an image or a trailer or an article, something talking about this film that may spoil something from you. Whether, I mean, or at least it's really difficult to go in to see a movie in the theater completely blind nowadays.
Well, you're not wrong, because I went to go. So I was just saying to the fellas before we started recording, we've been trying to go and see it for a couple of weeks, and we finally got to go and see Thunderbolts, which I actually credit to, you know, because I haven't. You know, it was fun. It was a fun movie, but on the way in, there was a new poster, because the whole poster for everything has been Thunderbolts with a little asterisk.
Oh, right.
And now there's the new poster that's got it torn off at the bottom. That's got the, oh, you spoiled the end of the movie.
Spoiled the end of the movie, and like, you know, what a way to confuse people in the marketing. Just change the title of your movie upon release. It's like,
people walking up saying, I'm here for that new Avengers movie.
It's a new Marvel, guys. I heard this new Marvel is crazy.
We should go see that. It's just so funny. So to our listeners, Will and I got to see an advanced screening of Friendship on last Monday.
Yeah.
Whenever this is coming out, I don't fucking know. Yeah. But it was such a treat, because the line in that movie, because Thunderbolts had also, I think, come out the weekend prior.
Right.
So there's a line in that movie where he's like, we got to go see the new Marvel movie. It's going to be insane. It could be just... there's no way they intended for these two stars to align, because a new Marvel movie comes out every few months. So it's just so perfect to see. Like,
that's one of the jokes of the movie.
The
I heard people are literally going insane watching.
Let's actually, like, you know, you were talking a little bit about Coogler and his casting. Let's talk about the rest of the cast, because there was some absolute bangers. I mean,
my favorite name in history.
Which one?
Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo. Yeah, like Delroy Lindo. God, that guy.
So good in this.
Like he's just great. He's so good in everything. But he's great in this one. But let's just quickly as well, like Omar Miller as Cornbread, who was bringing some of the great comedy. He was really like, everyone was going, "Come on, Cornbread!" You know, it's like, come on, man.
Obviously, everyone remembers him from 8 Mile, which we did on this podcast.
Yes. Yep. Yep. We had Jamie Lawson as Pearline, and then there's Wumi Masaku. She was she not in?
She was in the Batman, right? She the?
Oh, no, you're talking about yes, Jamie. She.
That's right.
As the mayor, Jamie Lawson, but Wumi, I believe, is from Loki. The Marvel TV show, the new Marvel. You haven't seen it, but she's actually brilliant in Loki. And if you haven't seen Loki, Loki is, of all the things that Marvel's done, I think absolutely
you
right
think,
there at
though,
the top.
Like the core of this movie is just about dudes eating pussy.
Oh my god!
That is the
Hear me out.
That is the main theme of the movie.
He isn't wrong that it is a pretty major.
It
plot
comes
point.
up
A couple of times, it comes up in the plot a few times, and visually as well.
Yeah, and all I gotta say is $300 million at the box office. So Hollywood, take notes. Give the people what they want.
Yes, you need a cunning linguist.
That's right. I do love the fact that, like, right after that scene happens, she goes on to perform the most insane song on stage.
Yeah,
just like she became a new person.
But then there's performances as well. Like, man, when they are performing, it's just it's visceral and sexy, and like
Sweaty.
and sweaty, exactly. And it was just like, and it kind of gets into a little bit of like what that was, especially for the Black community there in Mississippi. It was like a release in a way from what they were going through. An amazing example of that is a standout scene with Delroy Lindo, where him and is he with Smoke or Stack? I can't remember. But they've got Preacher Boy in the back.
Oh,
and,
it was Stack, yeah.
And it's the bit where Delroy is telling the story of a brutal story of a lynching, of a murder, and it's like his sadness and his everything that he's feeling just manifests in the moment as like just he starts singing the blues. It's like why it exists, why it's there. Right. Sammy starts playing. It's such a powerful moment with Delroy.
The look that was, I forget if it's Smoke or Stag. Even though on second viewing I was like having a hard time telling them apart by name. But like the look over that he gives to Preacher Boy, and he's just like enamored by that, which comes up obviously much later. But
the bit where they're discovering, wow, he got the juice kind of thing.
You can see the dollar signs in his eyeballs,
right? Yeah,
but also kind of like the pride as the cousin. Kind of thing.
For sure.
But it's like 100%. Delroy Lindo. I saw an interview like clip with him where he was talking about that scene, and apparently it was originally written much longer. It was kind of a bit of a monologue, and like Delroy had gone to Cougs and it said, I need to explore this, and two, you got to give me a few shots at this. It's such a big thing. But I think like that scene was, just see it, the visceral nature of the pain on his face, and and then also almost in a way of like what can you do? It's been like this for hundreds of years. This is what we go up against. This is what we face. Kind of thing was just like that for me. I was like, hand Delroy Lindo an Oscar. I mean, a guy that has been passed over a few times for things that I think he should have got recognition for. Have you seen the Five Bloods?
I have not.
I did. I don't.
Please, he's really good.
Yeah, he's great in it. I don't know. I don't quite dig that movie. It's not really my thing.
I dug him in that movie, man.
He is fantastic. Yeah.
So just put Delroy Lindo in a movie, and I am all in.
He's
on that
maybe
guy.
one of the best parts of Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah, right. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. The guy, if he's gonna bring it, he brings it.
He does.
I mean, it is brung. There was an interesting sort of like one thing I was surprised about that we didn't get more of. Was there's a scene where we kind of we're introduced to the vampire. Jack O'Connell, he's running away, he's on the run. It's sort of like just as the sun goes down, he's all burnt up and bleeding, and he sort of knocks on the door of this white couple, on their sort of farmhouse door, and he's being chased down by, is it the Osage Nation, the natives of the area, and it was like how they were like hunting this vampire. I was surprised they didn't come back to do some more vampire.
Right. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I kind of wanted that.
Me too. I was like, I was honestly expecting when it was all kicking off and that final act that those guys were going to rock up and there was going to be a bit of like, we're going to do some killing.
Yeah. But you know what? Now that this is a hit and they are definitely going to make more spinoffs and sequels, that's what I want for the sequel. Is I'm like, what's their story? What's going on with that? Yeah. That's what I want to see.
I would like to see that. That was, and it was, that was just a cool vibe, cool nod, cool thing, and it was kind of connecting to their like, oh no, man, like we understand the old dangers, and you fools, all right.
Yeah, I do love the reaction of just like the lady at the door is being really difficult, and they're just the sun's going down. They're like, all right, we gave you a chance. We're bye. We're done.
I have questions based on like a lot of the vampire lore in this, because it does abide by like a lot of the classic rules. They have to be invited in, so on and so forth. Why would that vampire be on his way to this house like in a rush at sunset versus like dawn, which is like a typical ticking clock in a vampire scenario? And then why would they be hunting him at basically the precipice of, it's just like that was a weird thing for me. Like it looked fucking beautiful, but like that vampire was clearly running. It was daytime. how does that
Yeah,
logic work?
what was the story? But you know, that's something that for the purposes of the movie itself,
Yeah, it didn't take me out of it. I was just
yeah,
curious.
not
Like
super necessary, but does leave the door open where like if we want to explore this more, there is
my
potential to be told there.
sure.
But
My other question about the vampires in this is that it seems like they operate on some kind of hive mind.
mhm.
Because how, like, once they're all turned, like later on in the film, they all know this music, this song, this dance.
Mhm.
How?
In a way, it's because they were also
Right?
feeling his pain. They were
Are they
feeling
like passing through this, whatever this lineage is?
so
Because
it's
it
like,
just, it's unclear.
well, it kind of, it's unclear in a way, but informed in certain moments. But instead of it being like that one rule that if you can kill the vampire that turned them, it unturns the vampires. They
Right.
were like,
Mhm.
that's not true. But it seems that the vampire that turned them has a connection to them,
Okay.
you
Mhm.
know. And so it seems to be that they do. Yes, they suddenly have, they know this music and they know
Okay, that's
everything
fair.
that they
Okay.
all know.
Hmm.
And it's like, and then they can kind of feel his pain, you know, that bit towards the end
And
that we see.
also, like, what really are their motivations to turning these people if it's not to pull this like musical lineage out of them? Like, are they specifically hunting musically inclined people to carry that
I
on?
I
think, yeah, I don't go for it, Will.
Oh, I was gonna say from the interviews I've seen and just from watching the movie now a couple times, it seems like he's Remick is just turning people so that he's got, you know, sort of a tribe again, because that's part of his backstory is, you
Mm,
know, being that he's Irish. And it's stated he's a pretty old vampire at this point. So his specific people were kind of destroyed a long time ago. So he's kind of like
mm.
trying to find that again. And the music part of it doesn't even really play into it until he hears
Right.
Preacher Boy
Preacher Boy.
Like
playing.
it like
And
awakens something, right?
yeah, and now he's like, oh, this can, you know,
I mean, it is a banger, so
yeah.
But
So
it's like, yeah, it's
it's
part of
something
that
like that.
mysticism. I think it's the
yeah.
mysticism of the vampire is drawn to, oh, I see another sort of mystical
Yeah.
thing.
Right,
I mean,
right,
that, for
right,
example,
right.
that shot, a really great shot where they're sitting outside the juke joint, but they can see the juke joint without the walls there. You know, because they're
Hmm.
sitting
Hmm.
outside, but they can see in and they're drawn to this. So
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
almost like the music has drawn them,
Right, right.
and he's
Hmm.
got that kind of like that old sort of Irish folk music
Hmm.
connection.
Yeah, because the
Um,
music is the are the bones of this film.
yeah,
Like it's
man.
the
Yeah.
core of it. Like through all of the genres it's doing, the music is at the core of it all.
And then
Hmm.
like once they're turned, everyone just seems to be just so horny for it. You know,
Hmm.
it's like, and there was a really cool scene as well, is that when like, all right, so okay, guys, it all kicks off, and we know a bunch of main characters get turned. But that bit where they're kind of outside and it's visceral again, where they're all
Yeah.
like singing and they're all like in a circle around each other, and it's almost kind of like, you know, in a way, just old school and almost native, and just, you know, they're like they're all groaning and
Hmm.
grunting and
It was cool
smiling.
seeing Hailee
Uh,
Steinfeld just like
yes,
little
yes,
whatever dance, doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
doing
their
a little Irish
Yeah.
jig. Yeah.
their eyes just glowing
Yeah,
and
that
all
was
this kind
cool.
of stuff. Like it was just,
I
you just didn't
love
know
the
where it was
eyes.
That
going,
was cool
man.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I love it, and not enough vampire things actually do this look. I love it when vampires are very much in the shadows, but their eyes are glowing. And that happened a couple times in this movie, and I love that look.
Hmm. That was cool.
The only time I've seen it done better was what was that Netflix Mike
Oh,
Flanagan
Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass. There's
Yeah.
like one shot in that. I love
Hmm.
that show, but there's
Great.
one shot where he's in like a dark cave and you don't
Hmm.
notice the eyes staring at you until he stands up, and then you're like,
Hmm.
oh, that's one of my favorite
Really cool.
shots of all
Yeah.
time. And this movie has like a couple scenes where you don't realize at first, like, oh, somebody's watching you from the shadows
Hmm.
until you start seeing more of
It's
those
all
eyes.
about what we do in the shadows.
How would you do something with
If
that?
I
if
feel
Colin
like that
Robinson
could
was in
work.
this movie, hear me out.
Oh my god! If
Just like
yeah, what kind of vampire is he again? He's a I was like
energy vampire.
Energy
energy
vampire.
vampire.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just goes.
I
He
do
just
wish
trolls
for like
people on Twitter and stuff.
yeah,
I wish there was like some kind of crossover where the
yeah.
vampires from that
Just
show, the movie just popped up.
just
Like, give me
Colin
Matt.
Robinson.
This
Just
movie needs more Matt Berry.
yeah. Oh my
But
god.
I say that about every movie, to be fair.
You
Yeah.
do. or every television show in general.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then
because it's true.
and then so when it does all kick off, it's fun and exciting and violent, and people are
Mhm.
dropping left, right, and center. And, and you've got that extra sort of like the extra thing going on with Smoke and his estranged wife, and then his dead
Yeah.
child, and all
Mhm.
this other stuff. And then even later, once a lot of the vampire stuff has been kind of like sort of pushed to the side, we then get the sort of the reveal, like, no, the guy that sold you this place is the Grand Dragon of the KKK, and they're coming for you. And you just do get that, like, they go, hey,
Yeah.
guys, we're just going to give you a really cathartic 5 minutes where we're going to get Michael B. Jordan to put all the bullets into all of these
Right.
bastards.
Before
Yeah.
even that, there's one like other plot hole that irked me out. So like when Hailee Steinfeld's character is turning Smoke or Stack, again, I will not be able to
Stack.
remember. Stack.
Stack.
Okay. She runs out. They shoot her. They get everybody to fucking leave, right? Then they know the vampires are coming, but for some reason there's still like 10 or 12 people that are still in this juke joint that are just there to get killed when the vampires eventually rush the place. Like, who are these people? Who are these people just still hanging around? I was like, I want to see how this plays out. Like, it just,
I mean,
I know it's a plot device, but it was just one of those like, who are all these other? Because it was only the 5 of them. Like in this, like when all this is going down, when they're making all the weapons and the garlic bombs and all this stuff, which is great.
I like to imagine when they saw everybody like being like, hey, you all have to leave. I like to imagine these are the people who are like hanging back, just being like, is anybody looking? And then just taking all the liquor,
free drinks. Yeah.
And then they got caught up in a vampire thing, and it's like, oh man.
Someone walks out of the bathroom like, what I miss? What's going on now?
It was honestly though, I mean, this movie, I mean, it does, and it keeps going. You get a really interesting ending for Smoke, and then the movie credits start, and then people like Ryan leave, and then you get the
I was so like exhausted by this because it is a bit of like, again, I was going into this anticipating more of a
From Dusk Till
Dawn type of thing, and like I said, it doesn't happen until like an hour in, but I was engaged the whole way through. But by the time that happens, I was just exhausted from how much this movie was throwing at you, that once the credits kicked, I was like, I'm toast. I gotta get out of here. And sure enough, I missed the one fucking post-credit scene that everyone loses their shit
Hey
about.
man, it's a Ryan Coogler movie. He's been making the Marvels. So.
Sinners with $2 signs.
Yeah.
But it is a movie that it is still in theaters, guys. Like, this episode's coming out Monday. I mean, like, it is still. I mean, they just brought it back to IMAX for a little bit, because people are still wanting to see it. And I tell everybody, see it on the biggest screen you can.
Yeah,
because it does bring you in. It does shift the aspect ratios. The music and the sound, especially in IMAX, is just
Did you guys
wall of sound.
Did you guys watch Ryan Coogler's like Kodak thing on YouTube?
I did,
talking
yeah.
about the film stocks. Like that got me really excited too. And this movie is like absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I watched that. That's what prompted me, because I saw it here in LA at the Vista Theater, which is like one of 5 theaters in the world that's playing it on 70 millimeter. So I saw it at Vista, but then seeing that it's shot for IMAX format too. When I was in Arizona Mills, their IMAX is a true IMAX.
It's spectacular. That's the one thing I really miss about not living in Phoenix anymore, is because I used to love going to Arizona Mills to watch movies.
Yeah. So I made it a point, and then obviously the 4DX, because Hailee Steinfeld spits in your mouth at that screening. So I had to go to that one. And the guy who voices Spider-Man in the cartoon is not allowed to go to that screening. He's banned.
Deep cut references going over my head, Will.
Oh, there's like 3 people who'll be listening. You're like, I know that drama. I know what's going on behind the scenes there.
Well, look, as much as we've been like going on about this movie and it being a great movie, you guys, you brought another one to the table that I honestly knew nothing about. I was intrigued by it. I went in expecting a different movie, but that did not ruin my expectations, did not ruin my experience of this movie. Let's move on over and talk about In the Heat of the Night. Now, if you look up and Google In the Heat of the Night, like I did the first time when the guys mentioned it, I initially was brought into the television show, which went for many, many, many seasons. And I was like, wait, what? And then I was surprised that, that TV show came 30 years after this movie.
Yeah.
I was like assuming it had been an old scale TV show, but In the Heat of the Night, a 1967 movie starring Sidney Poitier, being Sidney Poitier, and starring Rod Steiger, who we had last year on the Oklahoma episode because he was
that's connection.
And it's like
made that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well done, Ryan.
This guy fucking loves Oklahoma or Mississippi. Wait, we're doing Mississippi. Never mind.
Yeah.
Next week is sorry.
Yeah,
Next week. Yeah.
This week, but yeah, In the Heat of the Night, I came in and I will be honest. I'm like, okay, it's Sidney Poitier, it's Rod Steiger. It looks like a small town sort of story. Okay, and I was expecting
a rom-com. You were expecting a rom-com.
Well, no, I was expecting. So, is this going to be like some sort of Mississippi burning situation here? Or is it going to be? And then the movie starts. And it sets up, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Is it going to be this?
What did you call it on the text thread?
Well, after watching the movie.
You want me saying it?
I will get to that because I was like, once the movie is. Because I didn't know what the movie was. And,
true.
And it's like, this movie was nominated for 7 Oscars, wins Best Picture, Best Screenplay, Best Actor for Steiger, Quincy Jones's score, because it opens with a song by Ray Charles, that I'm like, what is this movie going to be? I didn't expect that I was going to enjoy it quite so much.
Loved it.
It's a great movie, carried in every way by just Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger acting the ever-living shit out of every scene of what is fundamentally an episode of Columbo.
Yeah. I mean, you get two different leads in this, and it might not work at all. The fact that you have Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger carrying this film, it makes they're so fantastic in this.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
The only thing that can make it better, two Michael B. Jordans.
That'd be it.
Sidney Poitier.
Or two Jean-Claude Van Dammes. Yeah. Like that's obviously those are also the only things that make movies better.
True. That's
so this movie, guys, it's a very sort of like it's a simple whodunit in a way of it's just a powerful sort of someone who is building like a big sort of factory in this small town of Sparta, Mississippi, is found dead on the street at 2:00 in the morning by one of the local cops, the local sheriffs, or police, just police. So it's very rare for there to be a murder. We're introduced quite quickly to Rod Steiger and his extremely initially very annoying gum chewing that becomes kind of a character thing by the end of it. And he sort of sends off his cops to go and find, someone from out of town. It's a small town. This guy's an important member. Who's going to beat this guy and rob him? Look out for someone. Look out for someone passing through, a hobo, a vagrant, this, that, and the other. Now, at the opening of the movie, we have seen a pair of shoes get off a train. And then this cop peeks into the waiting room of the railway station, and we see Sidney Poitier looking like the least guilty human being on earth, just nicely dressed, sitting there with his suitcase, waiting for a train.
But even before that, you get him getting off of the train, but then you get the cop at the diner, and you follow him throughout this town. He stops at that house to look at the
naked girl that likes to be seen naked.
Who you later find out is 15 years old. Or
16, she's like 28 years old.
Yeah, I was like,
right, yeah.
But he goes through that. That's when he discovers this body, and the really poor police work continues.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And so he gets immediately arrested, pulls a gun, it's like, black man, danger, takes him all the way in. But this is where, and I texted you guys, I didn't see this coming. I thought this movie was going to be just one of those movies where it's just it's the system, and it's like this guy having to fight the whole systemic racism. Trust me, it still is that movie. But it's the plot twist of, no, I'm a police officer. They call me Mr. Tibbs. And I was like, whoa. Wait. Not only is he a police officer, he works in Philly. He is a homicide expert. And it then becomes kind of the odd couple, buddy cop solving movie. I'm like, what?
It's a reverse lethal weapon.
In a way, kind of is.
But it's like we talked about this with Butch Cassidy. It becomes that kind of like buddy cop. I guess not cop, but that buddy cop genesis
vibe.
from this, yeah, which
Yeah.
I fucking love. Like 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon, like we mentioned, Beverly Hills Cop, like I'm all for it.
And it's
And the
like,
two of them together, like, oh
yeah.
man, this
Yeah.
And it's the flavor of, you've still got all of the racial stuff, especially in this town. You've got this police chief who I'm sure has his own sort of he knows how it works. He knows how the whole world works. But he's like, no, there's been a murder in this town, and this guy is the best guy to do it. So he's
Yeah.
like doing his best to keep this guy's like involved, but also trying to keep him alive. As Sidney Poitier goes around, just like, he's from Philadelphia and he's
Right.
not going to take so much of this shit.
But I love seeing that relationship like slowly
Brilliant.
build up because it takes its time. Like he's still like this
Yeah.
fucking out of towner guy. He's grilling him was like because he makes what is it, $163 every
A
week or
week.
something like that?
Yeah, how do you make
Yeah.
$162.37 a week as a police officer?
I can't even get oil in my air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
And you've got that little bit, like these humorous little things.
There are
There's
funny bits, yeah,
constantly little jokes in the, like, of just the way the police chief's place works, and he's like trying to. Did I ask you? No, it was my brother, and like. It's
yeah,
just,
I was waiting
like,
for it to do like
Yeah.
the hot
Yeah.
fuzz where it's
Yes,
his twin
it
brother
was
working the
too.
morning shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy coming in with the oil, not now, and okay, goes out in
Yeah.
the background. Like this movie, again, like this is, I always say going in blind to any movie makes it
Yeah.
amazing. But in this one, like, yes, it's a mystery drama film, and yes, it's got these sort of racial undertones, and yes, it's nominated for Oscars, and yes, it's got world-class guys, but you're also kind of like along for the ride, and it's a bit of a laugh sometimes, and you don't quite know where it's going. And like I said, anything else, if this is what people watch weekly, be it like their favorite cop show or 911, or be it
Right.
CSI, or be it whatever, it's just a classic whodunit. Which one of these people did it?
Yeah.
Elevated in every way. Like even like there was a moment where Sidney Poitier was just trying to say just the most normal line, be it like I've got to go and get a train, but Sidney
like a
Poitier
stage
said, I've
actor.
got to go
Yeah.
get the train. Like his eye or his lip would twitch sometimes, and I just like, man, he acted the shit out of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much fun when you watch two like world-class actors, and it's like, and they have great chemistry together, and just seeing them bounce off each other. Sidney Poitier is obviously a legend, and I think most people even these days are familiar with him. But Rod Steiger, I think, has kind of been forgotten about a little bit. He's not brought up as much, which is a total shame because, again, like I said, world-class actor. And my favorite performance of his is still, I know Joaquin Phoenix did that really dumb Napoleon movie that came out a while ago. If you want to watch a good one, go look up Waterloo, where Steiger plays Napoleon.
Oh shit.
And it's just the Battle of Waterloo, and it's such a masterclass of performance.
What accent could he possibly do in that film?
He's just got the gum the entire time
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
A
he wears the same outfit. Yeah, but he's playing Napoleon. But the other thing I love about this movie is the murder itself. In terms of the whodunit, it's not that complicated, but what complicates it is the racism
Yep.
Yeah.
and just the police just so eager to just pin it on somebody and get it out of the way, that's actually what's preventing the case from getting solved, is just police incompetence and racism.
And then but I love that it's like once you dig a little deeper, there's a lot more to it going on with the guy
Right.
running the plantation and the mayor's involved and the wife of the murder victim. Like there's so many players that even at the end of this, I'm like, fuck, I don't even know who did it. Like what's going
Yeah,
on?
Right.
well, exactly. It's only right at the
I was
end, but
intrigued. I was on board.
it all came together, kind of stuff. Because yeah, it's like you're saying, Will, is that you initially you get an absolute slam dunk for this guy that's got the money from the wallet, who is running from the cops, but it turns out he's like, no, I didn't do it. I came across a guy and there was his wallet there, and I'm like, well, it was full of money. What am I going to do? Not take the money? But was it full of money? It wasn't quite full of money, because it turns out some of the other money went to someone else, and then he's getting framed for impregnating the naked girl who we've seen him looking at earlier in. But it actually turns out that we go all the way back to the guy from Naked Gun 22 and half, and it's like it's great. It's a great little mystery. It is, but you're just watching the
It's
movie.
pretty low stakes for a
Very low stakes.
but for a town this small, those are like the stakes couldn't be higher. It's
Yeah.
not some like political espionage or it's that's just what happens in this tiny little town.
Yeah. I also love that Sidney Poitier's character isn't perfect either. Like he's a fantastic homicide cop, but even he just hates the plantation owner, and he is also like when they have their spat, he's also dead set on, I'm going to prove he's the one who did it, and it's a little bit of like, okay, he's not being objective now.
He's got his rage, for sure.
Yeah, which you're also at that point. You're as an audience member, you're like, I'm pretty sure he did it too.
Yeah,
but I think, what did I say on the text thread? I'm like, oh, he's showing up the plantation. I bet this white guy's going to be super helpful. And like that whole scene of the two of them in the greenhouse when he's talking about the plants, and they're just like, oh, he's probably not going to say anything like casual.
Oh God, yeah,
it cuts to the most racist thing you've ever fucking heard.
It's much like the black man, as you know, needs constant feeding and attention. And I was like, you son of a bitch.
I was really, really rooting for that guy to not be a complete racist, but
it was
would you say, Will? It's like it's always the ones you least expect.
Yeah, the guy with the all black servants in the plantation. He's bad
with the the massive racial stereotype thing on the way in.
The jockey. I forgot what it was, but
another thing I found very jarring is just the way they and it's something that they do in America and they do in the South, but just calling him boy.
Yeah.
Was so jarring to me, but again, very, very reflective of the time. And you got to think, 1967, the civil rights sort of, time. Yeah. It's kind of like, this is what it was. No, Sidney Poitier is, not only is he the best at what he's doing, he also makes more money than all of you, and he's better educated and better all of this than you. And it's, and he's like, you know what? Fuck all you guys.
Right.
But that's in its way just triggering the dumbest, stupidest, man, we gotta get that guy. We're gonna get a group together and we're gonna get him because he's making me feel bad about myself. And there's only one way we can fix that. And
they cobble together somehow the most racist looking people in this movie before they even open their fucking mouths.
Yeah, you can just tell.
They're oof.
Yeah, it's but man, Sidney Poitier. Does anyone look better in a suit than that guy?
I sent you guys the picture when he's leaning up in the prison cell. I'm just like, my God, what a fucking stud.
Mate, totally. And I do love the way that there's two scenes. There's one where he's talking to that guy, the wrongfully accused guy, and the other one where he goes to the lady that's going to do the abortion, who her setup kind of reminded me of Smoke's wife, kind of.
Very much. Yeah.
And it was like, now listen to me here, mama. The way he'd say mama, and he's and to other people, it's like, when he was saying, he's like, can you dig? So he was just throwing in some of the cool vibe from this, and he's like, the way he sort of changed the way he talked to people to get them on board and get them on side, but also really reflective of the time as well. I was like, when Sidney Poitier saying, "Can you dig it?" I'm like, Sidney, I dig it, man. I'm digging it,
absolutely,
digging it all the way, Sids.
There's, did you guys catch the really good moth work in that scene?
Yes, it came onto excellent.
Hard to train him off to do that.
No, it's wild. Yeah.
Excellent. I got nominated for best moth acting.
Good animal wranglers in there.
Yeah. Fly acting too at the very beginning in that diner. Like,
oof, fucking
God, that is the grossest diner.
Ugh. And that's with the two grossest people.
And the stupid little plot twist of just the guy hiding the pie just to mess with the cop because screw that guy.
He's fucking that pie.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
So real quick, Will, correct me if I'm wrong. This was one that you had on you've owned the movie but never seen it.
Yeah, it just recently came out on 4K, and it's just one of those I've been meaning to watch, and I was I'll just pick it up, but I hadn't gotten around to it yet. I have a couple movies on my shelf that are like that, where I'm like, oh, I need to watch that. It's gonna be too much trouble to find it somewhere, because sometimes they don't come out on streaming right away, and I'm just like, I don't want to wait for it. I'll just pick it up.
You're just waiting for the States to turn up to watch them, and we're helping you finally get through your movies you never watched.
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for us to get to the point where we're going international. We can talk about Bloodsport finally. So,
so this was the first time for all of us, yeah. So Will, did you know anything about this movie going in? Did you have a bit more of an understanding for what it was, as opposed to me that was just completely blind?
No, I knew a lot about it going in. I didn't know the intricacies of the plot, but I knew the overall premise. And also the TV show was like one of those things where I think it came on at Nick and Night, either like after Happy Days or something. It was like on one of those late night, channels. And so I'd seen the show pop up. I don't remember anything from it, but I was familiar that they were both cops.
Nice.
So
I knew nothing about this so much so that the title I just assumed was like some kind of romantic thriller.
Yeah,
And I guess in a way it was.
Yeah. Their kiss at the end is where Sidney Poitier walks away with his gum in his mouth, and you're just like, oh.
That's right.
It won them the Oscar.
And best kiss at the MTV Movie Awards.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a lot to this movie. You get that scene with Rod Steiger and Sidney Poitier in his house. That whole thing was I read it was that whole scene was improvised. Incredible stuff. Yeah.
That was and it's just I genuinely, because I was watching it and I was like, because Mrs. came in and I was like going, man, this movie's great. Like, have you ever? She goes, in the heat of the night, I go, yeah. And she goes, I've never seen the movie, but it sounds like the TV show. And so she had sort of seen, she was aware of it too.
The Carl Weathers movie?
Yeah, right. But just like the banter, it's this movie's got banter.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, this movie was an adaptation of the book that only came out in 65. So basically the book came out and they basically immediately optioned the movie and it came out the next.
I wonder how different it is from the book.
Tim's is white.
That's kind of what I was worried about.
But it's like, no, I mean, like, so there's stuff that I think wasn't in the book, which was the bit you were referring to, was the bit where Sydney slaps the guy back. And I love that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like Sidney Poitier was like, no. Like, if that's happening, if that scene's happening, this is what we're doing, and you're putting that version in. And he was like, saying that's what's happening. But that was an amazing scene because the guy is just being, an absolute, that's exactly. But I want to credit that guy's acting as well, right? So the plantation owner dickhead who's just being obnoxious in a way while being, it's not obnoxious because I'm, like I'm that kind of guy. And he suddenly slaps Sidney Poitier for just, you don't talk to me like that, boy. And Poitier is immediately, bitch, slaps him right back. And that guy, his quivering lip was incredible.
Yeah.
Then the line of, just a few years ago, I could have had you shot, which was scary. And then the way that the houseboy, like the butler, if you will, but it's
lemonade.
Right. But it's the way, it's the way he looks at that guy and just shakes his head.
Yeah.
And walks out. What a scene.
But credit to Rod Steiger's, like, the look on Rod Steiger's face too is just like he's like, in shock.
He's like, what are you going to do about it? And he goes, I don't know.
Genuinely is like, I've never been in this situation before.
Yeah.
But it's like
looking through the rule book, like, I don't know.
But then the very next scene is where, exactly like you were saying, is Steiger calls like him out for going like, you're just trying to get that guy. That's not cop work. And then Steiger going, yeah, but now I've got to try and keep you alive. What are you doing?
Stop making my job so hard.
Honestly, it's one of those ones, like I often bring Will, like, is that you'll bring something I never would have thought of watching. And I never would in a million of years ever picked this movie on streaming. I would have picked 7,000 things before it. And I'm so glad you did, because it's so thoroughly enjoyable to anyone who's listening. Like we talked about where you could watch it last week, but this is one of those absolute thumbs up, watch it. Now, the joke that I said,
here we go.
But it was more just like, because I was like, it was just because
we were coming off of Hard Target.
It was coming off of Hard Target, where you'd made the Jacques Reacher joke, and I was like,
which is totally not racist, by the way.
And I was like, outside guy comes into small town. He's a cop and an expert at solving crimes. I was like, you've got to make the T-shirt with Sidney Poitier and make it Black Reacher, because I'm like, it's like a Jack Reacher story, just without punching. He's doing it with like his brain, but it's in every way. It's a Jack Reacher book, just that's also
it's
Oscar winning.
Right.
I love this movie. I loved it. I will recommend it to everybody.
I had a blast watching this. I was worried, like, you go back and watch these like older films from that time period. Like, will they hold up? Like, I remember the ending felt a bit anticlimactic for me, because in a typical like modernish movie, it would be this huge fucking shootout. Like, again, like a Jack Reacher, would be this shootout in a quarry and all of these other layers to it. But I liked how like simplistic this story was.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it was that guy.
Yeah, but it built up to that moment of like everyone's coming to kill him,
Right.
and he's
Right.
got
Outside
the guy,
diner.
and there's them, and he goes, "Okay, he fucked your sister," and he's like, "I might be a racist, but she's my sister." So I guess
he's like, I
you're
might be a
okay.
racist, and that was just the end of his sentence.
Yeah, dodgeball ending. But like the thing is, guys, and I've not been looking forward to this for once. I've got a movie that I loved, a movie that I loved, and a movie that I loved. We've got Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? The period musical, adventure, mystical adventure. You've got Sinners, the period musical vampire sort of like adventure, and then you got In the Heat of the Night, the Oscar-winning
A movie
mystery drama.
so Mississippi that it was too dangerous to film any of it in Mississippi.
Right.
When I read that, I was like, holy fuck. Like, Sidney Poitier had to sleep with a gun under his pillow. Like, if you go into the notes of this movie, you're like, fucking hell, they couldn't, it was just too dangerous to film any of it there.
It was, yes, it was filmed in the town of Sparta, but it wasn't in Mississippi.
Right.
But honestly, tell me more about that, man, because I hadn't got into that.
That's all I got. Yeah.
That was why they didn't shoot in Mississippi.
Yeah, it was just too racially charged and dangerous to film there. That look at the time period when they were doing
Poitier
it.
insisted the movie be filmed in the North because of an incident in which he and Harry Belafonte were almost killed by the KKK during a visit to Mississippi. Son of a bitch. Man.
Wow.
America,
Yikes.
do better. But yeah, so they shot it in the town of Sparta, Illinois. Though, yes, the outdoor filming locations of Tennessee, which because I was about to say, but there was the
They used the
plantation.
standard, yeah. They used.
And I was like, how did they
standards
do that? And
Racism.
Poitier slept with a gun under his pillow during production in Tennessee. That is so messed up.
It's wild, right? Like,
But also,
Yeah.
I mean, but not messed up because look at the history of the country and look at the time, right?
Right,
But the fact,
exactly.
how much does that inform the performance of what this movie
I was thinking that
was? Is that's what he's dealing with?
He's such an
as
intense actor. He's like, I'm going to use that as a tool in my arsenal.
a goddamn bloody Betty did. That's astounding.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
man,
just
I'm gonna be
it's
thinking about that all day.
yeah, it's crazy when you think of this movie how like almost by like, well, I was going to say almost by modern standards, but I guess not. How
Yeah.
racist these characters are in the movie. And then to find out like, oh, by the way, in real life it was so racist you couldn't even film there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just not even an exaggeration.
Wow.
Whereas when you're watching it in the movie, you're just like, oh my God.
The amount that actually like changes my perspective of the movie even more is insane to me.
And you have to wonder too, back then in the 60s, like for this to be nominated for that many Academy Awards, you could, just because we're living in a modern lens, like you can see people like boycotting this movie in certain areas and not showing it, or like just that would never happen again.
I mean, well,
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Think about this. Like, so I'm getting a bit more into like, some of the interesting things is like, this was the first major Hollywood film in color that was lit with proper consideration for an actor with dark skin. Again, and it's Sidney Poitier, and it takes until this moment for the movie that he can't shoot in a part of the country because they'll try and kill him about people trying to kill him because of his color. Bloody hell! The layers to this movie is driving.
No, but tell me more about your little vampire movie.
Well, I mean, everybody knows about Mississippi's wild vampire population. So,
I've only seen John Carpenter's Vampires, and I'm pretty sure that was in New Mexico, so I don't.
Sidney Poitier said it's one of his favorite films. Now, this is the one I pointed out. So, like I said, at the very beginning, I said, I hope that Steiger isn't chewing gum the entire time because it's driving me crazy. Because he's chewing gum, one, with his mouth open. Yeah, and he's chewing so much of it at the front of his mouth. Like, I'm a gum chewer. I'll chew it at the back of my mouth with my mouth shut. And I'm like, oh my God. But it was like, apparently he asked the director. The director wasn't crazy about it, grew to love it, and eventually they went through 263 packs of gum.
God, could you imagine though if it was like
gum everywhere around this town?
Yeah.
Could you
All
just
available
imagine
on
though,
eBay, by the way.
Imagine if it was just like bubble gum and he's just blowing bubbles, like pink big bubbles throughout this. Like,
Popping on his face every
Tibbs,
now
what do
and
you got?
Bubble Yum is this co-sponsor of this movie. Just
Oh my God. Yeah, all right, man. And honestly, funny enough, um, and interesting because we said that this, movie, weirdly enough, 30 years later, spawned a show that went 9 seasons. But it also, when I finished on Prime, it started the trailer for the sequel. They Call Me Mr.
Oh.
Tibbs. So there is, it's a terrible name for a movie.
yeah.
Was it? I wonder how many years later that came out.
I think it was like 5 years later. So like it was a while later.
But it's not Rod Steiger's in it?
1970. No, it's him solving a crime in San Francisco. So it's following, it's something like that. But it's just Tibbs' crime movie. But back in those days, like, because when sequels would come out 4 or 5 years later when we were younger, you know what I mean? Whereas now it's like sequels coming out in
30 years later.
Right. Yeah. I think there is another one.
I could see them using this to make like a modern-ish like version of that with a different title. They wouldn't call it In the Heat of the Night. It'd be like Night Heat. I don't know. I don't know what the title would be, but it'd be like a modern actor with the same kind of premise. Like we just got that Saulnier film, but we almost did it for Louisiana. But the bikers, the racist town with Don Johnson. The fuck am I thinking of? Ollie loved that movie. We brought it up last episode.
Don Johnson movie?
The racist Don Johnson.
Oh wait, yeah. The yes, that one, the one on Netflix. That's really good. I
can't remember the name of it.
With that guy who's playing Green Lantern.
Not bikers. Rebel Ridge is what you're talking
about. Rebel Ridge. Thank you.
Bicyclists is what he meant.
Like cyclists.
I was like, the bike riders?
Actually, while you were saying that, I was suddenly just lost in, guys, there's more to this. That the more I read, the crazier it's becoming. Like, because of the assassination of Martin Luther King, the presentation of the Best Picture for this film was postponed by 2 days. The producer used creative accounting to prove to United Artists that the film would make a profit even if it didn't play in the South. So like you were saying, for what this movie was and the time it's coming out and the plot and the location, they planned for the fact that people in that part of the country weren't going to want to watch it.
Right. Like, and you have to think too, like, how do you even promote films like this in that time period? We were talking about like how films are promoted now. Like, you wouldn't be driving in LA and see a giant billboard like Tibbs is back or guess who's coming to
just
Mississippi.
The Tibbs.
Just the Tibbs.
This is wild, absolutely wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, like I said, to get back to like I was saying, is guys, we have to pick which of these movies is the most Mississippi. Now we've said, okay, this movie was specifically shot in the North,
right?
Because right, but it is still extremely Mississippi, and as we have just gone through with the behind the scenes,
maybe a little too Mississippi,
phenomenally on the nose about that time and that place and what it was. That is extremely realistic. Now, Sinners is sumptuous. I believe it was actually shot in New Orleans, shot in Louisiana. Okay. However, again, very, very much just about the time and the place. Like I said, the first hour and a half, until you bring the vampires into it, it is about that time and about like that vibe and that feel, and the why being it's a place for us. It's a juke joint. It's like, no whites. This is for us kind of stuff. And you've got the fact that it's being sold to them by the KKK guy. And then we've got Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Which is, again, sumptuous and gorgeous and about the time and brings this kind of musical element and, finds a way of making the Ku Klux Klan hilarious and stupid, at the same time.
Bumbling,
yeah. It's just, I don't even know where to begin. This is the very first time where I don't know how to pick a winner, and 2, I don't want to.
It's almost funny that In the Heat of the Night, maybe I'm misremembering, didn't really have any Klan implications.
Yeah, it's more just the casual racism.
Right.
Everybody.
It's just assumed.
The citizens.
Yeah. But guys, I mean, seriously, I've no idea. I've got 3 favorites for this. So
I mean, none of these make me want to go to Mississippi. maybe you fly over the state, but
You mean to tell me Hailee Steinfeld spitting in your mouth won't make you
well, now
fly
hold
down
on.
Mississippi? You
But
keep bringing it up.
Hailee Steinfeld and in like the 1992 garb is probably the most attractive human I've ever seen
With
in
her
my life.
lollipop and everything.
Just those hoop earrings and just like, look, all you got to do to get me is look like you're in TLC, and I am pretty on board.
I have one more question about that, because again, the
Mhm.
vampire lore in this is very like whimsical at best, but he is wearing a Jesus piece as a chain
Nothing
as a vampire.
nothing in the vampire movie said anything about like any religion.
There was nothing about crosses or crucifixes in the movie.
Yeah.
It was just garlic and sunlight and inviting people in. And
Mhm.
but a good point. I also like Stax, like he had like the his ring and everything.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah. The
horrible.
do
I
the
hate
right
that so
thing,
much.
like
Yeah,
you
it was
know,
dope.
it's a stack. I
It
love
was
that.
so cool. But no, see, we're trying to avoid this question because it's like I'm okay. All right, I'm gonna put it out there. And I'm angry about the other two, but I think especially considering what we've learned about the behind the scenes of it, that In the Heat of the Night is it's got the juice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so does Sinners and so does Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Like I said, this might be the strongest three movies up against each other we've ever had on the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Like-
I
I
mean, I
mean-
thought for sure you guys were going to steamroll me on
On
Sinners no
Sinners.
matter what. So I was just gonna be like, you guys pick whatever you want. I'll just.
I mean, I'm leaning towards In the Heat of the Night as well, just because of the grounded nature. Even taking out the real behind the scenes story, the other two are pretty fantastical, whimsical
Right. Yeah,
stories.
that's
You
true.
know, Oh Brother is much funnier. Sinners also pretty funny, but In the Heat of the Night is pretty grounded and real in that sense. So I might be leaning more in that direction.
I can see that.
And this is why Ryan goes Sinners.
Sinner. You got to say it like Tommy Boy. Yeah, and I like. God, it is such a tough one for me. For Sinners, like, yes, it is set in Mississippi, but how much of it isn't just, inside of this juke joint or on that one street? I mean, you get when he goes to her cabin in that area, but I don't know, it's a tough one. It didn't feel more Mississippi to me than the other two films necessarily.
hmm So,
Yeah.
are we feeling like maybe Sydney in his epic acting and the Steigs with his gum chewing and the
My
fact
second favorite Sydney next to Sweeney.
So, are we gonna do it?
Yeah, I think
Let's
Yeah.
do it. I think so too. Like, okay, it's hard to do because the other two movies are incredible.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest, what a surprise it was. What a joy it was to watch.
I do kind of want to watch the show now.
Yeah, I'm interested
too,
as well. Yeah,
Just like, what could it possibly be? Like,
though I
The crime
do-
of the week, I would imagine. Like,
I
do
guess,
like
but for
what-
9 years.
Yeah, that's what Will said. He's like, there's only 60 people
have you ever
in
heard
this
of
town.
Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, people can always get injured if it's set in a hospital, but how many crimes are there to solve in a small city, teeny tiny town?
Yeah, by
Like-
season 1, everybody in town is dead. Like, what do you?
Right.
Well, let's do it. All right, here, guys, for Mississippi, the champion. Surprising, I mean, like,
shocked.
surprising in a way, but an absolute banger of the movie to represent Mississippi here on the podcast, at least until we come back around for another go, is In the Heat of the Night, 1967, Sidney Poitier, Rod Steiger. It's available on Prime. We could not more highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a great watch. You will enjoy it. It will, it's not going to leave you feeling bad. It's not going to leave you, it's just going to be like, man, I'm really glad I watched that movie. Great choice, fellas. When it comes to choice, though, we got to follow it up, like next time around. So we've got to think, what are some of the also rans, the movies that we didn't pick that we might pick next time? I've got
Yeah.
one.
I think we might have the same one.
What's yours? Go for it.
The Gene Hackman movie Mississippi Burning, which comes
No,
up a lot.
I've heard that. No, so I've honestly been trying to avoid watching it because I hear it's not fun.
Yeah.
But no, it's a little bit
It's the
more
Hotel Rwanda of Mississippi.
right. It's a movie Crossroads.
The Britney Spears movie?
No, it's the Ralph
You got
Macchio
them
movie.
before I did.
It's a Ralph Macchio movie that my buddy that I went to watch when I went to watch Sinners. We watched it together, and we were talking about movies, and he goes, "You've never seen Crossroads?" Musical dramas film inspired by the legend of blues musician Robert Johnson, basically the guy that went to the crossroads and sold his soul to become. It's Ralph Macchio movie. It's also, is it Jamie Gertz? Yeah. Ralph Macchio, Jamie Gertz movie. He was like, guys, you should watch it. It's dope. So I think next time around, that's going to be on my list. But what are some other ones apart from Mississippi Burning, which, like I said, is one that everyone talks about, but boy, do I not want to watch it.
No. I mean, it's a lot of them have Mississippi in the titles. You have Ghosts of Mississippi, Mississippi Grind. The Help is also on that list. The problem is a lot of these movies are pretty racist.
Right, or racial. I mean, like I remember, like, The Help.
Yeah,
I remember kind of enjoying it, but at the same time, it's kind of like a movie about the black experience via the white women that help them,
Right.
It's like it's one of those sort of things. But like
people aren't going out of their way to set a lot of like comedies in Mississippi.
Right. Well, there is Get On Up, which is the James Brown biopic, which has got quite a lot of stuff like in Mississippi as well.
I can't do
kind
biopics.
of fun.
I can't. Biopics are forever ruined for me. I'm sorry.
So there's some. I mean, like I said, you're not wrong that when it's a lot of Mississippi movies are they do get into the
Straw Dogs, the James Marston movie. Okay.
Oh, not even the original Straw Dogs. Let's see, Life.
Yeah, the Eddie Murphy one. I haven't seen that
not
since
the Alien
it came
one.
out. The Long Hot Summer, Biloxi Blues, which is a bit different, but
my dog Skip.
McConaughey's Free State of Jones, which I remember liking the look of that one, but it just didn't hit.
And I haven't been keeping up with the Jonases.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is a classic. So there's a couple. Django Unchained.
Django's in there too. I mean, okay.
Is the original or the
Django Unchained? Yeah, Tarantino's one. So there's a bunch. Okay, there's some. Like I said, I'm going to throw Crossroads in as I'm going to say when we come back around, let's do Crossroads. I've heard good things about it, especially because none of us have heard of this movie. I'm like, all right, okay. Sounds kind of fun. But before we get there, we're going to have to take a trip around 50 other states before we do. But next week, we are stopping in the state of Oklahoma, where, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Killers of the Flower Moon.
Correct.
That once
another hilarious movie.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I can't believe that beat out Twister, Will's favorite film.
Yeah, well, we could, if you want, bring the sequel, Twisters. Guys, what movies are we going to bring to the table
Jesus.
next?
Now that we know what you said what the winner was, I feel so bad that we picked this movie. Just the idea of these two going up against one another makes me feel so gross.
Bring it on, fellas.
We picked the Weird Al Yankovic classic UHF.
Which is, guys, I've never heard of this movie in my life.
What?
No, nothing about it. Never seen it. Didn't even know it existed until you guys picked it. So I'm on board with that. Right now, I'm checking on Just Watch. It's available free on something called Canopy. It's on Pluto TV with ads, so you might be able to find it. I'd probably put money on that one being on YouTube. But then the other one, Will, I have seen. Haven't seen it for a long time. Starring every famous person ever. What movie are we doing?
Megalopolis. Sorry. His other movie that's just as good, The Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
Never seen it. I'm excited.
You've never seen it? Okay,
No,
interesting. No. I mean, it's gonna, like you said, it's got everybody in this movie, be it Emilio Estevez, Ralph Macchio, Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, Matt Dillon, and C. Thomas Howell as well, right?
Yeah, but he's playing his character from Soul Man, so it's wildly racist.
Dude.
It's the Francis Ford Coppola movie. It is actually Not available to stream anywhere right now, except for something called Philo, which isn't even a streamer yet. It doesn't launch until the 31st.
That just directly injects a virus into your computer. So.
Yes. So find it if you can, rent it if you will. But to be honest, if you're like my children, you were made to read the book and then just watch the movie in school. So they've watched this movie recently. Yeah, we'll be doing The Outsiders. That'll be a fun one. What a great week this was, though, guys. I had fantastic week. Great movies. This is why I love doing this podcast.
It was nice to only have to watch one movie.
Yeah,
even though I did watch both. And a number of
honestly,
others.
looking forward to UHF, man. Okay, and The Outsiders will be good to get in on that one as well. So don't forget, if you want to join us next week, watch along the movies with us. You can always find more from me if you like what I'm all about as that Englishman in Texas, where I like to talk all things Texas, or you can find me as Ollie Petrico on Facebook. You can always find Will as Entitled Millennial, especially on TikTok, where he gets into the old movies that he's very often bringing to us to watch. And how many times have we said he was right, guys? So honestly, go and listen to what he's talking about, and maybe you'll learn something. And as well, you can also find Ryan as Rhino Digital, RYNO Digital. He does a lot of great designs online. Also, come by on our Facebook page to see some of our redesigned movie posters. Jacques Reacher was a good one. I'm gonna have some fun with that, Marty. But outside of that one, guys, join us next week as we head to the state of Oklahoma. But from me, Ollie, from Will, and from Ryan, thank you as always for joining us for this episode of the United States of a Movie podcast.